You guys see the setup? This is my setup. This is my tripod. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Kathleen, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. So for today's video, this is something I've been wanting to do because I watch a lot of these on my YouTube channels. I'm filming one of the videos I love watching, which is a monthly reading wrap-up, but July edition. So basically just showing you guys what I've read in July. I started reading like 2 years ago. The very first book I've read was It Ends With Us from 2021, I believe, to up to this day. Like, I've been on a reading slump, and I know it's August 11. I'm pretty late to this, but you know what? It's okay. I've never read this much book in a month. I've read 6 books this month. I've read 6 books, but you guys can see there's 5 books. I read a book on my Kindle, so I'll show you guys that later. But I'm gonna try my best to give a great synopsis. I'm not very good at explaining. When my friends asked me if this book was good or what the book is about, my mind is blank. Like, I have nothing to say. Like, I don't know. All I say is it's good, and they're like, no, I'm asking you about the story. I'm like, oh, it's alright. And they're like, wait, what? Like, I know what's going on when I read it, but like when I explain it to someone, I find it's hard for me. So I'm gonna try my best to give a synopsis, but bear with me. So yeah, and I'm also gonna give you guys the reading in this book. Okay, so the very first book I read in July is none other the special book that everyone has been hyping up about. I don't even know. It's the famous Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is actually the very first book that I read from Emily Henry. On my TikTok page, everyone has been crying about this book. I personally did not cry, but I did find it sad. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars. 5 out of 5 stars. This book follows Harriet and Wynne, who has been friends for so long and who is also engaged, but I'm not sure how long they've been together, but I know it's been years. And then 5 months ago, they just broke up, and every summer they go to this cottage with their friends, with their group of friends, and basically their group of friends does not know that they've broken up. They don't know that, you know, they divorced, I guess. They have no clue what happened to them. And so when Harriet sees Wynne show up at the cottage, they automatically knew that they would have to fake their whole relationship. And so you kind of just follow Harriet and Wynne trying to make this work, and that's basically all I can say. The next book is none other than Shatter Me. This is the very first book in the Shatter Me series. I gave this like a 4 out of 5 stars. It basically follows this girl named Juliet, and her touch is fatal, so whatever she touches either gets destroyed or gets killed. My favorite part about this book was that it was so easy to read. It was very fast-paced. It was so easy to read. The next book I read, actually the first novella in the Shatter Me series, because I actually read it on my Kindle because it was hard for me to find that at my local bookstore, so I couldn't get my hands on it. First novella, which is Destroy Me, it's actually Warner's point of view, and I gave that like, I think a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. I really did not like Warner's character when I read the first book, but when I read Warner's point of view in the novella, he redeemed himself. I fell in love. I was like, wow, he made me forgive him. I think you don't have to read the novellas, but I'm very glad that I did read the novellas. You also get Warner's past and his relationship with his parents. Fourth book I read, which is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I was very surprised where this book takes place because it talks about Toronto. It talks about downtown. But I did give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So this book, you basically follow Fern and Will, and Fern is running her mother's resort because she did pass away, and then you follow Will, who kind of made an agreement to meet at this lake 1 year later. After they meet, they agree to have no communication during that 1 year that they separated. And so they were like, okay, let's make a deal, let's meet at this lake 1 year after, but Will never shows up. And you basically follow what they went through in this book. You basically follow the hardships that Fern had to go through because of her mother's passing. I enjoyed it, but I also did not. I seen the ending coming. Like, I knew it was coming. I knew what was gonna happen. It was very predictable. I felt like it was a little realistic, so which is why I gave it a 3.5. One of the reasons why I got this was because of the cover. Next book I read is A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This book, I gave this like a 4.5, a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. I've had this book for the longest time. I think I've had this book ever since I started reading. This book basically follows Rune and Poppy, who's been childhood friends. They kind of get together, they get into a relationship until Rune has to go away to Norway due to his parents' work conflicts. And so then Rune and Poppy exchange letters, they send each other messages, they call, and all that long distance stuff, until one day Poppy has never gotten back to Rune, never calls, never texts, never sends letters. And so when Rune gets back to town, to their home, I guess, you figure out what happened. And I knew what was gonna happen. I knew that this book was gonna ruin me the way it did. And I wish I had like the time lapse of me reading the book of like what my reaction was. I'll try to find it if I still have it. But I bawled my eyes out at the end of this book. I literally did. Like, my only concern was it was so hard for me to read this because the writing in this book literally gave like middle school vibes. Like, it was so easy for me to read. It's like my mind was just not into it. Like, I personally could not get into it, but then I forced myself to because I can't get into a new book without me finishing what I'm currently reading. That's just like a promise I've made to myself. I highly recommend you guys read this if you guys haven't. The last book that I read, the first book in the ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I actually mentioned this book in my very first video. This is what I was currently reading during that time. Basically, you follow this character named Farah who kills a wolf. Another creature kind of goes into her home to demand retribution, but she was given an option. The first option was a life for life. So because she killed that wolf, she had to trade it for her life. But then she was given another option, which is to go to the Spring of Court where she meets Tamlin. When I bought this book, the lady in the cashier area was like, give it like 60 to 100 pages in and you will not be able to put this book down. And that basically happened. So though it was very slow at the ending, which is why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, It was so hard for me to get into this book. It was hard for me to understand the world that Sarah J had made, but it's so creative. I just cannot explain every single detail because I cannot even understand it myself, but this is all the books I read this month. Hope you guys enjoyed my second video in this channel. I can't wait to make more content for you guys. I have a lot of ideas in my head that I definitely want to explore and I want to do for this channel, so I can't wait for that. I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow me on GoodReads as well if you guys want to keep up with what I'm currently reading and, you know, my reviews on there. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoy. Love you guys. Bye.